had seen an article on the internet, and the article on the internet was talking about people who drink black coffee. And I thought that that was interesting because I did not end up being a coffee drinker in my youth, even though I ran very excessive work hours, both in my college and in the beginning of my career when I was working in recording studios and working in sound technology. And I had moved from New Jersey to Los Angeles, and the first job that I had was a job where I was putting in between 90 and 110 hours a week of work. And so essentially what was going on is at that point in time, I was seeking to take every waking hour and pouring it into my career because I had gotten an opportunity to work as a technician, keeping a recording studio maintained and keeping it working. And honestly, when I went to work for this studio, it had an amazing reputation, but it had been somewhat neglected. And I would say that the reason that it had been neglected was because the previous technician who had worked there had a very large amount of consumption of weed that kind of really mellowed him out seriously. And so nothing was really a problem for him because of his consumption, we'll call it. And so as a result, a lot of work hadn't been done over a period of time. I was hired, I moved in from New Jersey to Los Angeles, I started working there. I found a fair amount of things were projects that parts had been bought for, but the projects had never been done. A fair amount of what had happened there was the rest of the industry was moving forward, in this particular place, which had been glorious 5 to 7 years before that, really needed a lot of tender care. And in terms of this, I also didn't actually have any friends in Los Angeles. I didn't have a social network, and I was also hired to do some things that I didn't really know how to do for certain, but understood they needed to be repaired, and so I was kind of learning as I was working. And so there was an excessive amount of work to be done. I did it. I had nothing better to do at that point in time. I really loved the opportunity that I was given. And as a result, it was long hours, but I didn't actually do coffee. I didn't end up doing anything else that would help wake me up, and I didn't end up doing anything to relax me. So I was perhaps the most chemical-free person in Los Angeles. So in my 40s and 50s, I started to drink coffee, and the reason that I started to drink coffee was I was meeting with people, and I made a discovery. And the discovery that I made in terms of meeting with people is if you got people into the house of worship, into the congregation, into the place where they worship God, they had a very different front-facing demeanor in a worship setting than they would have if they were not in synagogue or in church or in a worship setting. And I really wanted to get to know my flock and my community in an area where they were more comfortable. So I made a conscious decision that I was going to meet people at cafes, at coffee shops, and at other places that were part of what they would call the real world. Now, the real world is an opportunity to look into seeing who people are in other settings. And so I started drinking coffee because that was kind of like the table rent for going and meeting someone at a place where we would meet for 45 minutes or an hour and 15, and we would talk about the things that were going on around us. And as I drank coffee, I noticed that there was good coffee and there was bad coffee. And I thought, if I'm going to drink coffee, I really want to end up knowing what the drink is actually supposed to be. So at the beginning, I did coffee with sugar and with cream and things like that in it. But I realized that what was happening was there was a strength, there was an aroma, there was a sense of taste to coffee that was masked by the sugar, that was compromised by the cream, and ultimately you would not end up getting the taste of the full notes or the flavor of the coffee. You were just tasting what was obscuring it. And I went out for coffee with a variety of different people, and there were people who would get 3 creams and 4 sugars in their coffee, and I would look at this and go, you don't really like coffee, do you? You kind of like dairy and sugar, okay? And if that's you, I'm apologetic. Have your coffee however you want to have it, honestly. But in terms of this, I decided that I needed to end up enjoying foods that had bitters in them, and foods that were not sweet, and foods that challenged my taste palate. So over a period of time, I learned how to drink coffee black. And at the beginning of it, it was trying to get past the bitterness of the coffee. But over a period of time, I came to a place where I understood that stretching your palate so that you can appreciate bland tastes, so you can appreciate bitter tastes, so you can appreciate vinegars, so you can appreciate hot taste like peppers or horseradish. So this is a growth of your ability to interact with food. And so today, I enjoy black coffee, and I will try not to end up drinking so much coffee that I get to a place where I am caffeine addicted. I've done that before. I try and avoid it. But in terms of this, when I have a hot cup of coffee, I'm going to try and go to a place that makes good and excellent coffee, that grinds it fresh, that serves it hot, that ends up having tastes that come out of the soil. So whether it's from Guatemala, or whether it's from El Salvador, or whether it's Peruvian, or whether it's from Sumatra, or other places in the world, the coffee will all taste different because of where it's come from. Sometimes what happens with us in spirituality is that we want a spirituality that's the equivalent of lots of cream, lots of sugar, and we're actually getting more of a flavored milkshake than we are getting a drink that has distinctive and bitter tastes in it. Sometimes in terms of our spirituality, we just want to hear about the easy stuff, the sweet stuff, the stuff we like the best, the stuff that doesn't challenge us. And as I look at my walk with the Lord, I have tried not to end up coming to a place where I am dealing with an easy, childish faith. But I'm trying to deal with growing to be an adult, being able to deal with suffering, being able to deal with difficulty, being able to deal with all the things that go on in terms of walking with the Lord. And so just as I had to learn how to drink coffee, and just as I learned over a period of time to appreciate the drink more, I think with our spirituality, we have to learn how to have an adult spirituality. And the adult spirituality means that we will read Lamentations. The adult spirituality means that we will learn that God brought the Babylonian captivity into the spiritual history of Israel because the people had become so corrupted that they couldn't stay in the land and find the Lord, find revival and renewal. I think that we're going to have to learn that sometimes God sent prophets, and the people of Israel were in a place and in a position where it was sweet, it was creamy, and it was easy not to live to the prophets, not to listen to the prophets, not to be a people challenged by the prophets. But at the same time, the prophets had a bitter and a harsh message that if we had listened to it, it would have saved us pain and suffering, and it would have grown us up and would have put us in a place where we would have really heard God. So you have mastery and control over your own spirituality. And with your own spirituality, you're going to either keep on going over the same areas again and again, or you're going to be a person who is going to deepen, who is going to grow, who is going to receive a message from the Lord, and you're going to go, that's a little harsh. That's a little difficult. I wouldn't think that God would want to say that to me. But when you hear that, and when you accept it, and when you come close to the Lord as he is doing this, there's the opportunity for you no longer to be childish and to be out of round or out of balance in terms of your spirituality, but you're going to be a person who understands what the Lord's discipline is, what the Lord's reaching out to you is, who the Lord really is, and how you can be a person who can benefit from God's education and God's wanting to do a work with you that is going to prepare you and make you into a person who's going to be able to come close to God. So if you drink coffee, learn to drink the good stuff. If you've been taking your palate and your tastes and you've been making it so that nothing strong, nothing earthy, nothing bitter, nothing spicy is ever part of your diet, learn how to grow and develop it out a bit, because there's a big world there for you to experience. And likewise with your spirituality, if you have been staying in the kiddie pool end of spirituality for too long, there is the deeper portion of the pool, and there's the portion of the pool which you could dive into and which is far deeper than you are tall, and there's opportunity for you to investigate a big world. Take advantage of it. This is the life that we get. Shalom.